Hey guys, Dr. Nyame here. So today I'm going to talk about a fun topic, which is rewards for kids. So as most of you guys know, I'm a plastic surgeon by training, but I have two kids, currently ages 4 and 5, that I teach in the home. One of the questions I get oftentimes from you guys and people on Instagram is, your kids are so well behaved, how do you get them to sit and focus, and how do you reward them? And my kids are just like everybody else's kids. They respond well to rewards. So today I was going to talk about all the things that I've tried when it comes to rewards, what I've learned not to do, go through the pros and cons of the different methods of rewards, and then walk you through my own evolution. So my kids respond to rewards. Most kids do, okay? And there's one school of thought that says basically just don't give them anything. They should just be happy that they're learning and working hard, and that's great. Part of this video is not to tell you what to do as a parent, but just to kind of share my own experience and allow you to make decisions. If I just said to my kids, hey, you know what, only do what you want to do, they would always choose easy material, and it would be hard to progress them. And so sometimes rewards are a nice way to kind of get them over the hump, to allow them to see that they can kind of push through a barrier, okay? And there are different types of rewards. One method of rewards is just to go out and buy them things. Somebody does this, you just reward them with a toy or a gift or something that they're going to like, okay? The pro or the good part about that is it works, okay? So this absolutely works, okay? A lot of studies have shown, however, when you just reward things and make it a one-to-one transaction, what ends up happening is you end up having to buy bigger and bigger toys in order to get them to perform. And so that can be, one of the cons. Essentially, you end up having to go the extra mile just to get them to do what you need them to do because they've been desensitized. And so that can be a slippery slope. So that makes this hard because you need more toys. And, clearly the moment they get the toys, then they're kind of distracted from doing the work that you're asking them to do. So that's one of the downsides there. The other downside is that you actually need to go out and buy a toy. and trying this method out, I found that to be true. So early on, what I would do is, go to say Target or Walmart and just get some toys that I thought they'd like, and I'd keep them in my trunk. And, we'd work, and if the work was good, I'd take them to the back of the car, pop the trunk, their eyes would open, they'd see the toys, and they would just kind of light up, right? And I'd let them know kind of what they're working for. And so that worked for a while, but I did find that the challenge there is you end up having to buy bigger and bigger toys in order to make that work. The other thing that some people have tried are snacks. You can give them something like a goldfish or a treat for doing good work. This one really didn't sit well with me because what you're eventually doing is showing them that by working, they can eat more. And that essentially promotes bad health habits. Right? Because most of the snacks that they respond to are going to be high in sugar, high in salt, and things that you don't necessarily want them to get into eating. And then what ends up happening is they start to associate good work with snacking, or good work with eating in a way that's not always healthy. And so this one was actually not one of my favorite strategies. And I think, it's a setup for, a lot of potential issues down the line when it comes to health. The upside is it does work, okay? And once again, my job here is not to lecture anybody, it's just to kind of give you my experience, and then you can decide what you'd like to do. The other method that works is we know kids now are just all about screen time is to, let them watch a show. Essentially, you do well on a project, I will turn this show on. This also works, which is the pro, but the downside is then they start to get zoned into television. And then once they're zoned into television, it's hard to really regain their focus and attention because the stuff that's on television is so engaging. Then that's usually what they're working for. And so what you're teaching them is by doing good work, they get a chance to sit in front of the TV and sort of disengage, which is not, to me, a good lesson to teach. If you're going to go with this method, I think it's really helpful to limit the time, okay? Once kids understand that a show goes from start to finish and that they need to watch the entire show to figure out what happened at the end, it's hard to get them to disconnect. So if you're going to use this method, what I would recommend is using short increments, short blocks, say 7 minutes, 8 minutes, so that they get used to the idea of being able to watch a show, but they also learn how to disconnect before the show's over. That way you can kind of get them re-engaged. So the downside of this is it decreased activity, and eventually they're watching TV and sitting, on a couch and something that's sedentary. So you're teaching them that by, doing good work, then eventually they are, allowed to then, do less activity. And so that was, one thing I tried at some point. Eventually, what I ended up using was something called a conversion system, okay? The conversion system is where you treat the work that they do with some sort of point system. Here you can see, this is a star system that I've got here. Then the kids understand that the number of stars equals something, okay? That something could either be TV time, it could be a toy, et cetera, and the better they do, right, the better the reward. And I really eventually loved the system just because it was more flexible, okay? So this didn't allow them to associate doing just one assignment or one lesson with a transaction, either gift, toy, or food. It meant that if you do something good, you get credit for that, okay? And that credit can either be used right away or it can be stored, okay? In doing this, you can see, this top line is my daughter. She likes to store her credit for bigger things. My son likes to use his credit up, okay? This also allows you to teach children about transactions, how money works, okay? So they start to understand that part of the reason they're doing this isn't for anything directly tangible, but it's to build up credit, and that credit can later on be used for something else, okay? This is a great lesson to teach kids because it goes to show them that just like they're learning now and they're building up credit for this, the learning that they're doing is building up credit for their future. All right, building up knowledge that someday they can use to get something else that they would really like. And so this is a system, the conversion system is kind of what I've liked and I've used for probably the last 2 to 3 years. It gives the most flexibility. In reality, to share just my experience with all of these methods, I've tried all of them at some point. When I first started, I was teaching my daughter how to count, and we were counting goldfish. And so when she got the goldfish right, she got to eat one of the goldfish. And that was kind of the snack method. And that worked really well, and she was really cute and really adorable. But then I realized early on that what I was teaching was to associate doing work with eating food. And as a physician who's married to another physician, that didn't sit well with us, so we quickly moved away from that route. Now, I will incorporate this every so often, but I always make sure that what I'm using as a reward is something healthy. So the most common way I incorporate this now is, if we start a lesson, I'll get out a bag of grapes. They love grapes, it's healthy. I just let them know they're just gonna do their work. Whoever's doing great work gets a grape. They get excited about that because it's sort of competitive for them a little bit, and it allows them to judge their work based on the number of grapes they have and by the grapes are healthy. So if you're going to do this, my strong suggestion would be to avoid candy, avoid things that are high in saturated fats, high in salts, and go with something that is a fruit that they enjoy. That way, even while executing this method, they can be healthy. So once I moved away from sort of the snack method, then I moved to the toy method. As I mentioned, I would keep toys in the trunk, and I kid you not, if the kids were doing great work, I would take them to the back of the trunk, I would pop it, their eyes would light up, and I'd say, you know what, for that thing that you did, this assignment, this lesson that you did, I'm really proud of you. I always made sure to tell them why they were getting it. This way they weren't just thinking that they were getting something for no reason, all right? I directly associated the toy that they were receiving with a performance, okay? And I let them know that if they continue that level of performance, there will be more toys, okay? And that worked really well when they were small. If you're gonna institute this method, I would recommend smaller toys. I would also recommend moving away from the habit of buying them bigger and bigger toys just to satisfy their urge. And every once in a while, I will still, execute this reward system. Recently, my daughter was reading some really, really challenging books. I mean, she was reading about amphibians and different types of twins. It was really, really dry, sort of third grade level reading for somebody who was in kindergarten. And, I told her, I was like trying to get her to kind of push through, hey, if you get past this level, here's this thing that you really want, and I will get it for you. So she was able to push through that level, and she got that gift. And it was really rewarding for her. But nowadays, as I incorporate that, I always sit the kids down before they get it, and I go through the thought process. I go through how they started the lesson, how they pushed through, what parts they did well, and then I give them the toy. That way they associate that toy, not with the fact that they completed the task, but with how they completed the task, whether they had a good attitude about it, whether there were challenges in the task that they could have improved on. And so I think in this method, the most important thing is the how. And then TV time. Oftentimes I will incorporate this as part of their break. And I'll let them watch a short show. They understand the basic currency. So, you can do this however you'd like, but for me and my children, good work on a lesson equals 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes of time. Okay work equals about 5 minutes. Okay, I like that because in 7 minutes they can't really get into a show, so it's easy to kind of get them to disconnect, but they still enjoy watching shows. And I found that this is helpful to keep them relevant with their peers, right? You don't want a child who's never watched any TV, and then when they go to school and their friends are talking about different shows, they feel out of place. And so this helps to kind of keep them, involved with their peers because they know what's happening. And then in addition to that, they get a chance to watch a very short and noble show, and they get to control the length of the show based on how they perform. And so I still incorporate some elements of this. And probably my most consistent and favorite system is kind of the conversion method using the stars, whereby if the lesson is good, they get a star. 10 stars equals something. If you save it up to 20 stars, you get something better. One of the reasons I really love this method is for bad behavior. For example, if something happens at school or something that I don't like, a place is messy, I don't have to say anything. The kids know. I come to the board, I take my finger and I erase 1 star, and they get it. And so this works really great, both for rewarding them, but also kind of as a disciplinary tool so that they understand that what they're getting can also be taken away. I like the fact that this doesn't correlate their work with an object, whether it's TV, snack, or a toy. This correlates their work with credit that they're building up. And I like that analogy that they're building up this credit just like they're building up their knowledge to be able to deploy someday in the future. So just my thoughts on different reward systems. For you guys in the comments, I'd love to hear what reward systems you guys have tried or what you guys have enjoyed using. If this content is helpful, feel free to share with other parents out there so that all of our children have a chance for a brighter future. And I look forward to engaging with you guys in the future. Take care.